Hi guys, this is Erica Weston with Fox Sports Midwest, and you're listening to my favorite St. Louis Blues hockey podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio.
Support for Let's Go Blues Radio is brought to you in part by Manscaped, the very best in men's below-the-waist grooming.
Oh my god.
Get 20% off and free shipping with promo code LGB at manscaped.com. Look good, smell good, feel good with Manscaped.
As the world's only personalized vitamin platform based on a health assessment and your DNA, ID Life provides its members with high-quality ingredients backed by pure science.
It's science.
Check out rockinthatidlife.com and speak with Dustin about how you can reach your goals today. That's rockinthatidlife.com.
Center Ice Brewery is a proud sponsor of Let's Go Blues Radio. Visit centericebrewery.com today to schedule a no-contact curbside pickup or make a reservation in their awesome tap room. That's Center Ice Brewery, located in Midtown St. Louis. Let's go Blues!
Welcome to Season 9, Episode 30 of Let's Go Blues Radio. This is the often imitated but never duplicated Bill, the never impregnated, always opinionated, sometimes procrastinated, the very oversaturated, maybe contaminated, extremely sophisticated, the original St. Louis Blues Hockey Podcast. Support for Let's Go Blues Radio is brought to you in part by Manscaped.com, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming, and by RockinThatIDLife.com, the world's only truly personalized vitamin platform based on a health assessment of your DNA, and by Center Ice Brewery. That's at centericebrewery.com, St. Louis's first and only hockey-themed brewery. We're broadcasting live on Tuesday, April 6th, 2021. This is franchise episode number 296 all time. I am your host, Jeff Ponder, and I'm joined by your favorite CBC goalie alum, Bill Day. Kirk Price has been traded to another podcast. More on that soon. For your listening pleasure, we'll be talking St. Louis Blues hockey for the next little while. To interact with the show on social media, we're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just do a search for us. If you can listen to a podcast, you can certainly search the internet. Have you checked out our Discord server? Blues fans, you can talk with other Blues fans with either text or voice chat. And three of us, including Kirk Price, will periodically be in there during Blues games or after games. For more info, go over to letsgoblues.com/Discord. And I'll add that I think I will probably be in there tonight after tonight's show. If anybody would like to stop in and maybe just have a little conversation about the show, about how bad the Blues are, about how bad the trade was to get rid of Kirk Price, whatever we want to talk about. We're dual live streaming right now on YouTube and Facebook. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the show, smash the bell so you'll get notifications when we go live. That is a mouthful that Kirk Price has to say at the beginning of every show. Good God. Bill, please talk for the next 20 minutes.
It certainly shows now that, he's been moved at the deadline, how much he loves the sound of his own voice. Stacks himself for the first 5 minutes and, doesn't let us get any kind of tempo. So I think this trade's going to work out just fine.
Yeah, I can't wait for Puck Guy 14 from Teal Town, USA to hop on over to the Blues side and see what he can do with us. Because, the ego of Kirk Price is what really, I think, kept you and I from shining all these years.
He definitely was power trippy at times, and yeah, and I guess we should go ahead and divulge all of the details of the trade. It was a three-way trade. So,
oh boy,
we have acquired Puck Guy 14 from Teal Town, as you said. And going to Teal Town is Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan.
Oh,
so you can't move a founder of one podcast without moving the founder of another podcast in a trade.
Wow, so we lost 2 pieces in St. Louis just for Puck Guy 14. That's how big of a deal that guy is.
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. And man, I think Hawaii Blues fan's gonna have to change his name, right? He's gonna have to be Hawaii Sharks fan or maybe Hawaii Barracuda fan.
Yeah, Barracuda fan's what I would go with.
There you go. That's the way to go. So of course we're just joking around here. We should mention Kurt hopefully might be joining us later. He's being a great father. Let's put it like that. He is helping coach his 11-year-old daughter's softball team. So Tuesdays are going to be pretty difficult for him. But as Bill and I were talking about before the show, I don't think it's anything we need to worry about too much because I don't think that there's going to be a whole lot of shows left this season. So we'll see.
Yeah. Pulling up the remaining schedule as we speak.
It's not worth looking, Bill. Don't even look.
No. Now, I was going to say you brought up the Discord server, and Kurt and I were in there last night. And I mean, it's probably good since we're in the early stages and, we're trying to launch that whole idea. But it was like a fucking wake in there after that game last night.
I thought about joining, but I'm like, I'm not going to contribute anything other than just negativity and just bitch. So I'm like, I'm just going to go to bed and be angry in the morning.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Like I said, I'm going to change that tune tonight. I think I'll be in there tonight for anybody interested. Bill, how about you? You think any early thoughts on possibly Discord?
We'll have to see how late we go here. I've had a busy rest of the day, and had still some issues. Mentioned before the show to Jeff that we're having our fence replaced. So 3 dogs who are used to having the run of the yard whenever they want, it's a bit tough to manage. So I will at least have to take a break to make sure that all 3 of them get a turn, and hopefully don't have any runners when I open the door. So.
God, I was telling you before the show about how when I lived in an apartment it was only the last 3 months of my last apartment I had, that I had a dog, my current dog. And I just realized you have 3 dogs. That was brutal having to take one dog out all the time, every time he needed to go out, because he was a puppy too. So he wanted to go out all the time. God, you've got 3 dogs. That sounds awful. No, thank you.
Yes. And the one, the medical problem child, we've got to a really good place, but part of that means that he needs to go out more frequently. So it's I may be late coming back from one of the sponsor breaks. We'll have to see how that goes.
Right, that's all right. I can vamp. Bill, I mean, we've talked a little bit about your fencing. How about some beer drinking talk here? Official beers of episode number 296. That's right. This is what we're all here for. You can follow each of us on the Untapped app. Kurt is at cprice12. I am at jponder94. Bill is at Billy Blue Note 33. And Bill, go ahead, lead us off. What are you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking the same thing you're drinking. I'm drinking The Beauty by sponsor Center Ice Brewery, because it is a damn warm day, especially in this office that I have now occupied for 13 hours, and it is very warm. So nice crisp orange zest IPA hits the spot. I'm loving it. You tweeted out that we were, the 3 of us, the 3 hosts and Amy, were at Center Ice on Saturday night to watch the Blues get their hearts broken in the last minute. And while there, one of the bright spots was picking up some beauty.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I was going to talk about it later, but let's go ahead and talk about it now. We're talking about beer. That was a great time, man. And I, as I said on Twitter, just I cannot wait to get back to a point where it's the norm to like go catch a Blues game on a Saturday night at center ice. I mean, I feel like, I mean, I think I did it a fair amount of times, pre-pandemic, but now it's like, man, once everyone's vaccinated and restrictions are gone, I feel like I'm going to want to do it every game. I don't know about you, but I had a great time. Our bartender was phenomenal. All the different beer that they had sampled for us was fantastic. Just a great time.
Yeah, Cheyenne was great and joined in on the prank about Kurt not being able to bring outside food in after 9:30. That was wonderful.
All right,
Kurt waited an hour and a half for Jimmy John's, and it finally showed up, and we convinced her to tell him that he couldn't have it.
We were like, because it was like 9:35, and we were like, hey, when he comes back in, tell him that no food at the bar allowed after 9:30. And it was so funny because she pulled it off, and she was dead face, deadpan. Yeah, she had a mask on. I'm sure that helped, but still. And Kurt was just so funny because he was so mad, and it was clear he was not mad at center ice. He like understood, but he was like, I guess I'll just go outside and eat.
that was classic.
Oh, that was great.
And you deserve all the credit for asking her to do it. Well, you get half the credit. You asked her, she pulled it off. So
and then I tried to pull another prank on him, and that one didn't go so well. I tried to steal part of his sandwich. He had like one bite left. He was turned around talking to somebody, and I just yanked it with a napkin. Just kind of kept it in my hand. And I thought, he's going to turn around. He's going to notice. Then he's going to turn around again, and I'll put it back. And then he's going to be like, where the hell did this come from? But he didn't turn around again for a good 10 minutes. So I'm literally holding this sandwich in my hand with a napkin for 10 minutes. And I'm like, this prank's not going so well. And then I put it back, and he's just like, what the hell is this? I'm not eating this.
Yeah, that one did not land.
One didn't land. I was 1 for 2. I was like the Avalanche power play. I had a good 50% on the Blues. So as you mentioned, my beer as well. For my first beer, I'm drinking the Beauty, the best IPA in St. Louis for my money. But I'll go ahead and mention, since you already mentioned that one, the Old Arena Lager is my second beer. So this is the second one I will be having probably here pretty soon. I've already drank about half of my Beauty. But speaking of, the Beauty beer for sure. But speaking of a Beauty, let's talk about one of our great sponsors.
Is there anything better than the fresh mowed grass at the ballpark on opening day? How about freshly groomed balls? Our sponsors at Manscaped, the global leaders in below-the-waist grooming, are here to help you strike out your bush for good. Talk about the ultimate utility man. Manscaped is like the Nolan Arenado of ball trimmers. It's time to keep your testes fresh and clean with the Perfect Package 3.0, which includes the Lawnmower 3.0 skin-safe electric trimmer, the Crop Preserver anti-chafing ball deodorant, the Crop Reviver spray-on toner for your balls made from soothing aloe and witch hazel extracts. Manscaped even threw in their shed travel bag to keep all your goodies stored comfortably. And speaking of comfort, the Manscaped anti-chafing boxer briefs are also included and will bring your boxer game to the next level. It's a whole new balls game, folks, and Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. Join the movement. Get 20% off and free shipping with promo code LGB at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use promo code LGB. Baseball's back. Don't let your pubes get out of whack.
Manscaped, one of our, the longest serving sponsors now. We've had them since, this whole year at least. I think they started in October with us, which is fantastic. But yeah, we've sung their praises a lot. I just want to tell one quick story about before I went to Disney World and Universal recently. I had it was winter. I was not really taking care of my manscaping, and I actually got out the razor and the shaving cream, And I started to put it on because I was going to shave a little bit in the stomach area, a little bit, I guess the bikini zone is what a lot of people would call it. And I thought, wait a minute, what am I doing? I've never actually used the lawnmower 3.0. I've never actually used that all the way through to do all of my manscaping. And dude, it was a breeze. It was quick. It was painless. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten out the straight razor and I've had some burn after, because even doesn't matter how much lotion I put on it. Sorry, I know this is some TMI for some people, but just phenomenal stuff. I looked as great as I could look when I put on the swimming trunks, because it's very easy with that light to notice if you're not going to miss anything. Just Manscaped Lawnmower 3.0, unbelievable product, and something that I'm going to use until the day it just stops working, which from what I hear is a very long time away.
Yeah, I wasn't sure exactly where you're going with that at first. I thought you were going to talk about, doing a little of your own paging Dr. Sutton. Like, that's not a good message with our sponsor. But
no, maybe I'll do that next show.
Please don't. And if you do, don't tell us.
Okay, you got it. I'll leave that for Discord. How about that?
Yeah, it's Let's Go Blues Radio After Dark.
That's right.
Because we said we're stealing that from TL Town.
Yeah, I mean, that is the best name. We probably should just steal it. That's the best thing to do. So today in Blues history, April 6th, 2021. I've got the wrong date here on our outline. The 21 is the year. April 6th, 1975. Bill, this is one that stumped you and I. We both had not heard this one before. Lawrence Sachuruk scored his 20th goal of the season for the Blues in a 3-2 win versus the Kansas City Scouts. Blues clinched second place, and Sachuruk became the first Blues defenseman to score 20 goals. Are you familiar with Lawrence Sachuruk's body of work?
Before today, I was not familiar with Lawrence Sachuruk's name.
Yeah,
that is impressive. I mean, somebody to put up 20 goals in that era, who wasn't Bobby Orr or Brad Park. It just, I just never heard that name. So not, it was before my time. My time began in 76. So, so I can claim plausible deniability here, but yeah, surprised that, with his, as much as I've taken in Blues history over the years, that I'm not familiar with that name. That's impressive.
Yep, agree. April 6th, 1988, Brett Hull scored 2 power play goals in his first St. Louis Blues playoff game. The Blues' 4-1 win versus Darren Pang and the Chicago Blackhawks. My question with this one, and we're not going to, don't worry, we won't have a long conversation with all these folks. There's a lot to get through here. But what is Darren Pang doing starting a playoff series? There had to be an injury, right?
So 88?
88.
That was the year that he came up, I think. But I'm trying to think, who else did they have? Because this is post Espo and post Bannerman. Who else did they have during this time frame? Bob Sauve and Alain Chevrier. He was in there somewhere during this time frame. Bob Mason played for the Hawks for a while, but I think that was earlier. I think that was during the Bannerman days. I don't know.
So this was his second season. Well,
yeah,
that's not really fair to say. He started one game in 84-85 and then didn't play again until 87-88.
Yeah.
So yeah, he started 4 playoff games that year. He went 1-3 against the Blues. So he was their starting goalie.
Yeah.
Interesting. For clarity, the other goalies on that team, looks like Bob Mason was the only other goalie used that season. So there you go.
So there it is.
April 6th, 1989, St. Louis Blues come back from a 2-0 and 3-1 deficit to beat the Minnesota North Stars in OT. Goal by Rick Mahar in Game 2 of the playoffs to take a 2-0 series lead. April 6th, 1991, one of many reasons to love Ron Caron. Meat on the burner. Caron had an altercation with Detroit Red Wing Glenn Hanlon in the press box during Game 2 after Bob Probert punched Vincent Riendo, and Kelly Chase, who was also in the press box as a healthy scratch, he had to actually usher Ron Caron away. So Kelly Chase having to play referee there for an altercation in the press box, something you'll probably never hear again in the NHL.
Yeah, no, I remember. I'm pretty sure I was at this game. I had several during that series. A friend of mine was able to get his aunt's works tickets for multiple games, and I remember being there. And Riendo went down like a sack of hammers. I mean, he folded like, yeah. It was. I mean, Probert's a big tough guy, so it wasn't wasn't maybe the worst sell job, but definitely looked more like a European footballer than an NHL goalie.
There's a video. STL Blues History did post the video with that tweet. So if you're interested in seeing that punch that Bill's talking about, make sure you check out STL Blues History on Twitter. April 6th, 2008. Keith Tkachuk scored his 500th career goal in the St. Louis Blues' 4-1 win versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. I think I was actually at this game. That's one of those that I seem to remember sitting in the 300s watching that game. April 6, 2012, Jordan Binnington signs an amateur tryout contract with the Peoria Rivermen. So there was your kind of one of the first tastes Blues fans had of Jordan Binnington. And yes, this was, 2012. That was when the Rivermen were the AHL affiliate, correct, of the Blues?
Correct. Yep.
And
Before
then
Chicago. April
6, 2018, Patrick Berglund, everyone's favorite Swedish stud. What was it? What did Peng used to call him? The big Swede. The big Swede. That's what it was. Actually, hearkening back to the old days before Bill Day joined Let's Go Blues Radio, former co-host Jeff Quirin, I believe, called him a Swedish stud muffin once. So that's something that's always stood out in my mind. April 6, 2018, Patrick Berglund recorded his second career hat trick on an empty net goal in the Blues' 4-1 win versus the Chicago Blackhawks. Don't remember that game, but I'm guessing that was in 2018. That was probably Berglund's last hat trick in the NHL.
Probably a very good bet.
Yeah. So we got a couple comments that I want to get to here in the YouTube chat. First of all, Jason Smith comments early on. He says, even Manscaped can't help your Blues. Go Avs, he says. But I want to interject real quick. I think if the Blues used Manscaped, they'd be more aerodynamic. So it probably actually would help them if they used Manscaped. We'll have to pass on our LGB code to the Blues roster and see if that helps anything. He says, in all seriousness, at least St. Louis showed up and played us tough. Last night was an embarrassment. Should be at least. Yes, that was an embarrassment, and we will get to that. Jason Miller, I get my second shot tomorrow. 2 weeks later, I will need to hit center ice with you. Awesome, Jason. That sounds great. We've been talking about having a kind of a Let's Go Blues radio night at center ice. We will have to do that as soon as it's more kosher to do something like that. Brian Roberts, now they're talking about the variants. He's talking about the COVID vaccine. We're not going to need to get into that. You can tune into Discord. We'll get on a vaccine talk, I'm sure. Jason Miller also asks, what would have to happen for Army to punch another GM? I don't know, but that would be amazing. I would love that. Would you not love to see, they show the GM reaction every now and then, like you think of the Cam Neely water bottle incident, but you see Doug Armstrong stand up and then just rear back and punch someone, that would be good TV.
Yeah, that Army's not on the list of GMs that would fight. I think a good possibility. Cam Neely versus Ron Hextall.
That'd be great.
And, or Mark Bergevin. That I think those guys would be willing combatants. But yeah, way too much. Has changed in the culture of the league for that kind of behavior to be allowed, at least for it to be leaked out into the public. But that, yeah, those are a couple matchups I'd love to see.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Hey guys, it's Jeff. I'm constantly finding myself grinding away in the corners with weight loss or muscle gain. Whenever I asked the experts for help, it was never anything feasible for my lifestyle. I spoke with my friend Dustin over at rockinthatidlife.com, and he explained that there's something known as active fat, which is fat stored in our abdomen that influences hormonal functionality. Because it's in the abdomen, it's close to vital organs. Don't you want something that'll be your third man in? RockinthatIDLife.com offers Slim Plus, which helps remove stored fat and burn it as energy. Slim Plus also includes alpha lipoic acids, which functions as the team bus, transporting nutrients where they need to be stored within your body. This will assist with energy and improve your overall mood. So whether you're looking to put on muscle or lose weight, Slim Plus has your back. Find out more at rockinthatidlife.com. That's rockinthatidlife.com, and tell them Let's Go Blues Radio sent you.
Quick note, I actually ordered Slim Plus for the first time. What was that, last week, and I'm getting it tomorrow. So I will be able to comment further on that next week. So stay tuned. Blues, talking some Blues hockey now, folks. Might be the earliest we've ever gotten to actually talking about Blues hockey. See what Kurt does when he's here. We are just rolling.
Great.
Don't worry, this is where we're going to get stopped.
Yeah, we're half an hour in, and we've already hit 2 sponsor spots.
There you go. I mean, man, we are just rolling. But like I said, this I think is where it's going to get a little derailed here, Bill. First of all, first news I want to talk about, and Cardinals fans obviously know this as well. Well, shit, anybody who has Fox Sports. Bally Sports Midwest is the new, channel where you can watch Blues hockey and St. Louis Cardinals baseball and anything else that Fox Sports had. They debuted, for the Blues fans at least, in the Avalanche series this past weekend. Bill, I'll let you take it. What are your overall first thoughts, impressions from Bally Sports Midwest?
I can't stand it. I mean, just knowing. I've been against it I've been against the company, and it's Sinclair Broadcast Group that owns the network, and it's just a matter of how they're branding it. And so they go up on the Fox Sports brand. That was part of the divestiture of Fox, that they acquired it, and so they're partnering with Bally's for gambling. And so they're what we're seeing right now is the branding, getting the Bally's name out there, and then soon enough it's going to be a lot more push on gambling, I think. But so far, the quality of product is not good. I've seen a lot of complaints about the layout of the they switched it from an upper display to a lower display, and frequently the shot counter just goes MIA, and that is very annoying. I don't pay that close attention to those things most of the time, but there's obviously a difference, and I I'd rather not. I'd rather the Blues and the Cardinals, to the extent that I even care about the Cardinals nowadays, which isn't a whole lot. Not be broadcast on a casino's channel.
Yeah, I understand that. So I'll start with my negatives. I agree with you on the shot counter. That was a conversation we had at Center Ice on Saturday. Was we all had noticed a couple tweets of people saying, "Hey, where'd the shot counter go? Why aren't the shots up?" And we all were like, "Oh no, I didn't notice it was gone." So yeah, I guess because I noticed it last night too in the Vegas game, that it's there and then it's just gone. It just disappears and then it'll pop back up, and it's like a power play clock. How you'll have your 2 minute power play clock. Power play ends, boom, it's gone. Well, it's with the shot clock, but it's gone. It just disappears for weird amounts of time. Keep it up. I mean, that's something that Fox Sports Midwest added that made people across the NHL landscape say, why aren't we doing this? Why isn't NBC Sports doing this? Why isn't I think Sportsnet didn't have it originally, and it kind of changed the game for a lot of people. And why mess with a good thing? It's something that everybody loved. But I will say, you mentioned the display changing. It was a top view, now it's a bottom. I prefer that, actually. And as I told you guys on Saturday, I think I'm just kind of used to the EA Sports method. And I guess really at the end of the day, it was ESPN that kind of developed that bottom ticker. And yeah, with EA Sports, it's always been on the bottom for as long as I can remember. So I like it. I actually prefer it on the bottom. For me, it's easier to just kind of glance down rather than glance up and not lose my position on where the puck is or whatever part of the play I'm trying to watch. So I liked that aspect of it a lot. But I'll add, Bill, one of the issues I had, and I was tweeting about it last night. So right now, I guess they're still using the Fox Sports Go app. I guess they're still working on developing their own app. And when the transition happened last week, it wasn't an issue. I all of a sudden, Wednesday, Thursday, whenever the Cardinals' first game was last week, I was able to just go right on Fox Sports Go. There was the Cardinal game, boom, done. Same thing with the Blues games on Friday and Saturday. Then all of a sudden, last night, Fox Sports Go, it logged me out, which was fine. It's easy to log back in. And so when I was logged out, it had the Cardinals game listed and the Blues game listed. I log back in, nothing shows up. It's just basically a blank screen. And I'm like, what the hell? So I log back out, there they are again. Log back in, boom, they're gone. And talking with people on Twitter the last 2 days, I'm not the only one to experience that. Apparently, it's people who use AT&T Uverse logins. Issue was still happening this afternoon. So I don't know what the deal is there, but whatever you're doing, stop it. This is an important time for hockey fans. I'm sure it's not just affecting the St. Louis area. That was an issue. A major issue, to be honest, for me. So I had some issues tuning into the game last night. I was able to use a workaround, let's say. But yeah, overall, I mean, your introduction, fine, whatever. It's very similar to Fox Sports. But yeah, I'm with you. Sinclair is the devil. So I will be happy if the NHL ever goes off of anything to do with Sinclair, but I don't see that time coming anytime soon.
Well, I think the best bet for that, or the best hope for that, it could be a bet, since they like to align themselves with a gambling organization, but it could be a wager on their stock performance, which they took it on the chin last in the first quarter. And a lot of it had to do with not getting to subscribers on YouTube and Hulu. So that's They come back to the core streaming services. That will go a long way in healing things for me. But until then, they're the dicks in the money grab. So.
A couple comments to get to here. Our friend Adam Gold, Winning Unlimited on the YouTube chat, who's somebody we should have on the show again sometime soon. He kind of brings that up here. We need to have an advanced analytics show. What do you think about a meter to predict the probability of a goal given where the puck is, players on the ice, goalie position, etc.? Adam, I'm sure there is a very large fraction of our audience who would love to have a show like that. I will add that I will be glad to be a part of that show, but I will be there for comedic relief because I think I'm just going to leave all that to you, buddy, because that's stuff that goes right over my head.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea, and I think it would be amazing from that scenario that he presented with the goal probability. From a goalie's perspective, when the goal probabilities, in the upper 90s and it doesn't happen, I think that would enhance my viewing pleasure.
He also adds he hates late night cravings. They suck. He says he wants to go into a carb coma while listening to Hotel Night Jeff talk Blues hockey. I'm thinking he's talking about 2 weeks ago when I tuned in from my hotel in Orlando. I don't know what I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you. But hey, if you're worried about late night cravings, Adam, tune in next week and I'll give you an update on Slim Plus from our friends at rockinthatidlife.com because apparently that's supposed to help crush your late night cravings. So that is my issue as well. 100%. Get home from hockey, work off all the bad food I've eaten for the last couple days. And then I just start stuffing my face with potato chips because I just want to eat anything around me after I play hockey. So, yes, that would be nice to lose that aspect of my life. I think anyone who has stepped on the rink can relate. Jason Smith adds, at least you can watch the games. We have contenders in NHL and NBA. Yet I know a guy who watches the Nugs from Ice Cave in Serbia. No joke. But half of Denver can't see them. I live 15 minutes from Ball Arena and can't. Yeah, I've been our friend Nighthawk, F117 Nighthawk, who's often in the chat here. She's been voicing her concern about that. And yeah, that sounds like a real bad situation in Denver. When are these media companies going to figure this shit out? That is just so frustrating.
Right. When is the NHL going to figure it out that it's 2021 and blackout restrictions probably are doing more damage than they are good in whatever, idea that they're protecting somebody, some corporation's, property rights. It's just grow the fucking game, get it on as many screens as possible, and don't worry about who's logging in from where. It's just ridiculous. This isn't the Bill Wirtz era where you're not going to watch but 2 fucking Blackhawks games in a season if you live in the local market. This is an entirely different era, and I wish that Gary and company would hurry up and get on board because it's dumb.
Cameron Smith adds over in the Facebook chat. He says, "Figure it out." That's what I always say. Someone needs to get the NHL a freaking puppers. And yes, Cameron, I agree, 100%. Also from Cameron says, "Good to see y'all. Looking good. Tonight's beer of the episode is Leinenkugel's Original for me." So, Cameron, I'm glad you're drinking with us. Cheers.
Cheers. The original Liney it's that every once in a while I will still pick up a 6 of that and completely enjoy it.
I know I'm supposed to take the ball here and run with this episode, but I'm going to pour myself another beer. So Everybody enjoy a drink while I sit here and pour my beer. Okay, so on with the show. The Colorado series over the weekend. Blues ended up losing both games, and yikes. But Friday, I want to touch on this game just a little bit. Colorado wins that one 3-2. Ivan Barbashev made his return to the lineup. He was a -1 with one block shot and 10-10 of ice time. Mike Hoffman did score a big goal on that one after being a healthy scratch in the previous game. And then I wanted Bill. The biggest thing I want to talk about with this game was McKinnon's 2 goals. Instantly when they went in, and I go to you for all my goaltending advice. I even as a guy who's watched hockey pretty much my entire life, every time I say it's a bad goal on a goalie, I want to get a goalie's opinion just to make sure that I'm not just being a harsh Blues fan. I thought both of the McKinnon goals, the power play one where he slid in from the red goal line and kind of spun around and just took a shot, and then the second one where he that's when he broke in from the wing, and again, I thought defense let him have way too much room, which is a kind of a theme we'll see with McKinnon these 2 games. But I don't like the way Bennington backed in, and just did not challenge. That was my biggest issue with those goals. Am I being too harsh in saying Bennington should have had those? At least put up a better fight with those 2 goals.
Yeah, no, I immediately thought on both the goals that Bennington gave up, and then the goal that Husso gave up to McKinnon in the next game were completely misplayed. The first goal McKinnon scored, I think it was a case of Bennington being too much of a slave to technique and trying to get into the reverse VH to hug that post, and he just made himself small. And McKinnon made that quick turnaround, and Bennington exposed the whole upper glove side. And a player like McKinnon in the form that he's in is not going to miss that. I think that if there's one knock I have on goalies today, it's that they can be too slavish to technique and not rely enough on instinct and reflex. But I should qualify this by saying I haven't actually set foot on the ice in I don't know, 10 years with the pads on. So, I can't profess to know all the ins and outs of the philosophy behind the technique, but for me, the bottom line was your goal as a goalie is to keep the puck out no matter what. And technique can, when you are in great form and following great technique, that's going to limit the other team's chances. But sometimes you have to rely on reflex. And I thought, at least in that first goal, Bennington did anything but that. And then, the second goal was just, again, I think McKinnon backed everybody off and Bennington wasn't set. And, it looked awkward. Like he got his legs crossed up, what should go where. And there's just enough for McKinnon to put it underneath him.
Yeah, and this game, I'll just add one more thing here. Actually, you know what? Let me make one more comment about goaltending with this game. I remember back when Bennington first came up, and we were all raving about how great he's played and how he's just such a breath of fresh air from what we saw from Jake Allen early in that season. I think the biggest thing that made us excited about him was his ability to come out and challenge too many times. And it's not even just Jake Allen. Again, not wanting to harp on the guy. Brian Elliott, when he was a starting goalie here, same thing. They backed into their crease. Their feet will be on the goal line many times. And yeah, every now and then that'll work for you. But when a good offensive player sees that, they know they can have all the room in the world to skate in and wait until they have a moment to shoot and find a good spot to put the puck. Bennington's not doing that now. I thought when he first came into the league, that was what made him great. That is what made, because he had, and I guess Berube kind of talked about that a little bit in recently in a post game, that it's kind of that swagger, I guess, that he carries with himself, and that's what it was. He came in and he was so confident. And I bring this up as I wear my I'm trying to show it. Do I look nervous shirt from 2019. And that's what it is. I see him as a confident goalie who's going to come out and challenge anyone. He doesn't care who it is. And I think last year in the playoffs against Bo Horvat and now against Nathan McKinnon and a couple other guys come to mind, the guy in Arizona, drawing a blank on his name. Connor Garland. These guys have gotten in his head, and he's backing off, and he's saying, okay, I just need to cover as much net as possible and just get in here, keep my skates back. But it's like, what made you great was stepping up and making them make the first move. And he's just not doing that right now, at least in my eyes.
Yeah. I mean, I got into it a little bit in the chat during last week's show about, my thoughts on Binnington and where he's at right now in his career. When he came up, his game was all about swagger. It was that cockiness and that confidence that put him over the top and, allowed him to be the difference for the team. To me, it felt like, he had a chip on his shoulder to, proving that he belonged in the NHL. And now that he's had a couple of years under his belt, maybe he needs a different motivation, because the chip on the shoulder thing, if that's what you're trying to rely on, you're trying to have that, something emotionally pump you up to get you on top of your game. As a professional in anything, the highs are, unless you're Connor McDavid or Alex Ovechkin, the highs are not going to be where you live. It's being able to do game in, game out, and have a steady approach. And I don't know that he's gotten to that point in his progression yet. And at least that's my feeling on where he is, and he needs to get over that hump and focus on just being a professional day in and day out, and not having to have having the swagger, the confidence in yourself, but not having to have something happen to stoke that. And I don't know. Probably could, if I'm right, and I'm just a guy talking on a podcast, but if I'm right, I would think that he's a guy that could probably benefit from some in season hands-on goaltending coaching or a sports psychologist. It just he just hasn't got to that point again, and I talked about it at length with you guys, on, at Center Ice and in our Slack chats, that goaltending on this team, we haven't posted a shutout yet this year.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's been a game when a goalie has come in after replacing the other guy and pitched a shutout. Everybody gives up goals. And that every once in a while you need a goalie to steal a game for you. And right now the Blues have nobody that can do that. And we know Binnington has that, the capability. He just needs to get back to that point.
Yep. Jason Miller in the chat adds, the all-around team defense is just too bad right now for our goalies to come out and challenge. They aren't trusting their teammates right now, right or wrong. I'll add Jason is also a goaltender, one of the goalies from one of my teams. So he does know a little bit, even though he's not very good. I say that, but his Twitter name is Crappy Goalie. I mean, come on.
Right.
Which is great.
Although if if I were if I were to rebrand myself as goalie, it would be crappier goalie at this point. So,
but no, and I think you've got a great point there, Jason. The team defense has just not been what it has been in the past. It's something we're gonna probably get into here in a little bit. But I'll say that you do kind of want your goalie to step in and steal a game. And like Bill just said, not getting shutouts, not having one goal against, even in a 35-36 shot game. You're just not, they're not going to steal a game right now. It's a team problem. It's not a goalie problem. We're not trying to point fingers at the guy in the crease. It's just, there's a team issue right now with not being able to step up and steal a game, whether it's from a forward, a couple great defensemen, or a great goaltender in one game. It's just not happening right now, and that's the point we're making. I want to add Colorado after this game. They were 8 for 17 against the Blues this season on the power play. That gives them a 47% on the power play against the Blues. That right there, that speaks to Jason Miller's comment about the team defense not being good. I get it. Colorado is a hell of a hockey team. They've got a nice point streak going right now, but Jesus Christ, you have got to be able, one, stop taking fucking penalties, and two, you have got to have some confidence on your penalty kill. And it's right now, if they take a penalty against the Avalanche, the team thought is it's going in the back of the net no matter what.
Yeah.
So
I mean, McKinnon's always had that propensity. Hold on.
Bless you.
I was able to mute that, so
that was good.
You have to hear that crazy sound. That's a year of being on Skype calls.
There you go.
Exactly what that is. But no, I mean the team defense, like it's it is the team, right? It's not the defense, it's not the goaltending, it's not the forwards, it's all of it. There are too many breakdowns all over the place. And we haven't had a single game where things have been held together this year. And Brian Roberts brings up a good point that it seems like they're playing like they did in front of Jake Allen, playing not to give up goals, and that's what you wind up doing. But going back to the point about the Avalanche and their power play, Jesus, I mean, McKinnon has always torn the Blues up. I mean, throughout his career, even when he was a rookie, he dominates us in that left lower slot, and even coming off the rush. I mean, he's varied it up at this point in his career, but at some point you gotta figure out a better game plan, and get them off of their 47%. That is ungodly. Just
that's
painful.
I mean, I need to do the research, but I would venture to guess a team who everybody says, not everybody, shouldn't say that. Arguably, I actually disagree with this. One of the best teams ever formed was that 02 Red Wings team. I remember they had a ridiculous power play. I bet they didn't have a 47% against anybody in the NHL. That's insane. That's literally almost every time. I mean, you're talking almost 50% of the time. You take a penalty, that's going to be a goal. And if you take 2 penalties in a game, you're definitely giving up 1 goal. I mean, you can't have that. You've got to be stronger on the PK, no matter the penalty, whether the team is clean and just takes 1 or 2 bad penalties here or there, or you're taking 4 or 5 in a game. You have to be better on the penalty kill.
But that said, the penalty on David Perron,
that was awful.
Just probably the worst call that I've seen against the Blues this year. I mean, yeah, there was there have been some really bad calls in the league, but that one was by far the worst. He's playing the puck, right? He's not trying to trip somebody; they fall down, but that winds up deciding the fucking game, and it's just awful.
Was it this game or was it? I think it was this game. where the Blues had a 5-on-3, and then they blew the whistle because they were going to call a penalty on the Avalanche. I think it was a trip. And then they all, like, all the refs and linesmen reconvened, and they were like, no, that wasn't a penalty. And I'm like, okay, if you're going to do that, why was there nobody stepping up on the Perron call? Like, you're telling me that all 4 officials on the ice were like, oh yeah, that was a penalty. No, it fucking wasn't. And they again, they took a penalty off the board for the Avalanche. And I'm not saying I'm not trying to go on a conspiracy route here, but I'm just saying, if you're going to do that for the Blues or for the Avalanche, you got to do it when there's a questionable call for the Blues too. I mean, that's bullshit. That is bad officiating.
Wasn't there a game last year though that somebody was actually in the box and served part of a penalty, and the period ended, and they're like, you know what, that wasn't a penalty, and they canceled the rest of it.
That was this year. That was the Blue Jackets. Yeah. There was. I don't remember exactly what it was, but they took a penalty. No, it was an offside challenge. That's what it was. It was an offside challenge. They said it was on a goal, obviously. They said that it was a bad challenge, so they gave a penalty to the Blue Jackets. And then at intermission, they were like, oh, actually, that shouldn't have been a goal. So we're not going to make you serve that last 40 seconds of the penalty. You guys can just start 5-on-5. And it's like, but you allowed the goal. Like, what are you doing?
And that's the caliber of officiating and the standard that we're at. Like, once the play goes on, you have to live with that penalty. You know, I'm all for, you know, imperfections in officiating, but to try to right a wrong but not fully right it, just, you know, give them a discount penalty, that's a joke. And I mean, last night I think there was a game that was the Calgary game, and Lucic slew-footed a guy right in front of the official, and nothing called. Just play on, boys. Like,
I don't know how you missed that.
Yeah, it is, and there are things like that every night, you know. And yeah, there are a lot of young refs in the league right now, but they've got to start getting better. You can't just keep having this, and you know, yeah, they got rid of Tim Peel, but at least, you know, apart from getting caught on a hot mic, saying, you know, what everybody knows happens, you know, he was at least a professional, who'd been around long enough, but whatever. It's right now, you know, the officiating is in a very dark place in the NHL. I think we should just leave it at that.
I think it just keeps getting darker too. I think we would have said the same thing 6-7 years ago, and it just keeps getting worse. So let's move on to Saturday's game. Blues lose this one 2-1 to the Avalanche. Again, we were at Center Ice Brewery for this game, so it was nice actually getting to watch a game with Bill and Kurt and Amy as well. As this is obviously the last year and a couple months now, that's not really been the thing. So it's been kind of cool. It was nice doing that. But I wanted to ask you, Ville Husso getting the start. A couple weeks ago, I know I complained on this show that the home series against the Golden Knights, I wanted to see Binnington in the back-to-back. I thought there was plenty of off days in between, and I thought Binnington's your number one. You got to go back to him. The Golden Knights did that with Marc-Andre Fleury. This was a time, though, where I think I was okay with Husso getting the start here. You know, you're a losers of 5 straight at this point. You're playing a good Colorado team. Husso's been okay this season. I'm okay with it, but Bill, what are your thoughts? Would you have started Husso in this game?
And this is the second game of the Colorado series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Bennington played really, apart from, the what we already talked about and him, giving up those two not great goals against McKinnon. He had a really strong game otherwise. And I would have been fine with them going back to Bennington. Huso responded. He had a good game, but he himself gave up a pretty weak goal against McKinnon. I think bring back one of my favorite lines that I've used all time. He was still backing into the net when the puck hit the back of the net. McKinnon backed everybody off, including him. And as a goalie, you've got to stand your ground at some point.
Yeah, I agree with you on the McKinnon goal 100%. As far as getting the start, and I'll add too, Bennington, we kind of trashed him in the last game. He did make 18 saves in that third period, which speaks to how poorly the Blues are playing offense right now. The fact that they were down 3-2 and they gave up 18 shots in the third period, that's ridiculous. But after that game, again, losers of 5 straight. It wasn't like I think even earlier in that day, I think somebody asked me on Facebook, who would you start tonight? And I just said, I don't care. At this point, I don't care. Whoever can win a fucking hockey game gets the start. And so
start Tom Barrasso.
Yeah, let's see Tom Barrasso. Let's see Jason Bokashua. I don't give a shit. Get somebody out there who can win a damn game. So I was okay with him, and he played great. I thought 32 saves on 34 shots on the night, and McKinnon, that goal was bad. And then Cale Makar scored with 41 seconds left on the clock. I don't blame him one bit on that goal. Bill, I'm gonna guess that you agree.
Yeah, I mean, seeing eye shot from the point.
It bounced twice?
Right. Yeah. I mean, the Blues, on top of everything else, the Blues don't seem to have had any puck luck in the last 12 games. And that's certainly an example. But just how, gut-wrenching and heartbreaking was Huso, I thought, gave the Blues the best chance of any goaltending performance that we've seen in, at least a month. And to lose it that way, it just, at that point, I tweeted out, that right there is when this is not the Blues season.
Yep. I agree 100%. Oh, sorry. Reading through some of the comments here. Looks like you guys are talking about Braden Holtby. Well, we'll add Jason Miller says, I'm not saying Bennington, and I guess this is getting into talking about the poor defensive play in front of him. I'm not saying Benner is right to do this, but I see a guy who's pissed at his teammates after he gives up a goal. As far as I'm concerned, no goalie should act that way, but we all do it sometimes. Jason, you're probably the rare exception. Jason is the ultimate nice guy in net. There's been multiple times where the puck has gone off me, and I mean, like just a pass in front goes off my skate and goes in the net. It does happen to defensemen a lot, but it does seem that there's a weird magnet on me that attracts the puck and then pushes it directly towards the crease. Jason's one of the few goalies who has never actually gotten mad at me, at least verbally. So I don't know, Bill. How many times has a puck gone off a teammate and you just gone, what the fuck? Because I've definitely had goalies do that to me.
Yeah. I've in my lifetime I've had enough times where I've gone off on somebody when it was even inadvertent. I'm definitely guilty of this, but yeah, I mean, you never want to give up a goal, and you never want to accept that it was your fault. At least that was always my mentality.
Oh yeah, that's a goalie thing. It has to be.
I mean, come on, it was a penalty shot. You guys let me down. How could you let him walk in like that? It's
Yeah,
not my
right.
fault.
Yeah, we were in a shootout. You guys shouldn't have let it get that far. You hit the crossbar in the third period. What the hell? Moving on, talking about the last game, which is one that really set me off. And Bill, I know it did you too. Kurt as well. I think Kurt had a couple F-bomb laced tirades on Twitter with this game. Blues get trounced by Vegas Monday for their 7th straight loss. One bright spot, Colton Parayko made his return. He was a -3, 0 shots, 1946 of ice time. I thought when Barbashev came back, I thought Barbashev looked, they always look a little behind game speed. And then by third period, they kind of step up and start looking like themselves. I don't think Colton Parayko looked good in this game at all. And that really, he just looked flat-footed. He looked surprised. Now, granted, he's missed X amount of games since February 18th, I think was his last game.
Yeah.
He's missed a ton
He's
of
missed
games.
a lot of hockey.
So I get it. It's going to take some time, and you're playing one of the best teams in the NHL. As you come back, one of the fastest teams in the NHL. So I get that it's not going to be probably a good experience for him coming back. But I thought this did not look good. It does not bear well for me that Colton Parayko looked the way he did in this game. I think the fear right now is that they rushed him back because they're in need for points. But if that's the Colton Parayko we're getting, shut it down to me. I say shut it down, give him the offseason. Maybe if you miraculously make the playoffs, maybe he'll be ready for second round or something. But again, I don't know the medical diagnosis on him. We've heard the rumors, but judging by his play in his first game back, he does not look like he's ready for the speed of the NHL.
Yeah, and I think you give him, one more game.
Yes,
two
agreed.
more games. Before making that decision. Obviously it becomes difficult if the Blues are able to break the skid tomorrow night, which at this point seems like it would take a miracle to do, since we're facing Vegas and they'll pick a random period to put up 5 goals on us. But after one game is too small a sample size to know if it was just rust, or if the injury has had such a big impact on him that he's just not capable of doing the things that ultimately made the decision to let Pietrangelo go. A rational decision. It just you hope. Obviously, I think I speak for all Blues fans when I say hope. It was just a game where he needed to get out there and get used to the pace again. But I don't know that I thought the first period last night was actually really good. I thought they did a lot of really good things, and then the second period just the wheels came off, and I think it was Mr. Blues Hat tweeted, I thought the wheels were off after the third goal, but apparently there were more wheels to go. Let me bitch how bad they were.
Let me bitch about Bally Sports again. So that is one of the problems that I had. So again, not having the Fox Sports Go app working, I was using a workaround to watch the game, and it kept stopping in the middle of play and buffering and then picking back up live, which is anyone here has ever experienced that is so fucking frustrating because you're just like, oh, you're into the game. You're like, oh, whoa. Here we go. We got to break in. And then boop. And it's just a spinning circle. And then, the play's going the other way. And it's like, what the hell did I just miss? And So I'm not kidding. This one buffer was so bad. It was 2-1. The Golden Knights were coming into the zone, and then it buffered and buffered and buffered and buffered. It comes back and it's 4-1.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, I actually had a very similar experience. I I was watching it on I had it on the computer, streaming it to the TV, and I saw it was 2-1. So I'm like, okay, I'll just nothing's happening. I can see where the goals were, so I'm just gonna go ahead and click live. And when I clicked live, from 2-1, it was 4-1. So
that was, yeah. I was like, this is a glitch, right? Like, there's no way they scored 2 goals. And for me, it would have been about 50, 55, maybe a minute, and it's like, oh, and then I looked, I'm like, oh, they did. They scored two goals. And what was it? 32 seconds apart. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Husso back in net for this game. Again, talking about goaltending. Again, I thought he played great on Saturday. I was fine with him getting another look in net. What were your thoughts on that, Bill?
I actually have a little bit of a problem with that philosophy.
Yeah,
he was good. He was good against Colorado. Give him the props, but he didn't win.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
The mentality around this team is such that he did okay. He did good enough to almost get us a win, but didn't get us a win. Obviously, a goalie's not going to score a goal, right? But I would have, going up against Vegas, a rookie, unproven guy. I think at this point, Berube's just hoping against hope that, he got confidence from that previous game, and he'll be able to, maybe he'll go out there and take the reins. And the exact opposite happened.
Yeah, I agree. So Alex Pietrangelo, first game back to Enterprise Center as he missed the first 2 a couple weeks ago because of injury. He got his video tribute, which was nice, very well done, and I'm sure I think he even commented after the game how great it was to get his tribute. It's a shame it's not a packed house for the first captain to win the Stanley Cup, but there were fans in the building. It wasn't an empty arena. So right. I'm sure that was a great moment for him. What's that?
I think there's 4,000 fans in the building.
4,000. Yeah, I mean, it's a good chunk. You can make your voices heard with 4,000.
Yeah, it's just under 20% capacity. Or no, it's right at 20% capacity. So not bad, but I think we'll all agree that, and I don't know, I think we touched on this before, but the Pronger jersey retirement ceremony has been moved to next season when fans will be back, right? That we can all agree that was the right decision.
Yes.
Petro, I think it's more about, it's his first game back in the building, and that's what you do for somebody who's gone. The pandemic, maybe you push it out, but then also, maybe he, unless you have somebody who tells him, hey, we're going to wait till next year when we have people who can actually give you a standing ovation. Maybe it could trigger resentment if that's not communicated well. But
yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? Tell the Golden Knights like, hey, don't play Pietrangelo tonight. I mean, right. You had to have it done in his first game at Enterprise Center, so it made sense. But I wanted to ask you, Bill, if you noticed, and I put this in the notes, so I'm sure you probably went back and looked. A friend of the show, STL Blues History, something he's harped on Twitter, which he's every right to do. He's a Blues historian. He understands this team as well as anyone as far as their history goes. He's questioned the number of captains they have said that they've had. Well, this is a moment where I think that this should be brought up. In the video tribute, they mentioned him as being a Blues captain twice. They both times though they said a different number. The first time was Al McInnes when I think it was like the first official moment where they like gave him a jersey that had captain on it. And McInnes was like, the Blues are proud to name you as the 21st captain of in Blues history. But then when Tom Calhoun, also a friend of the show, when he came over the loudspeaker, he announced him as the 22nd captain in Blues history. And Ryan O'Reilly, I think earlier in this season, they did say he is the 23rd captain. So I think the Blues are going with, they've had 23 captains. But again, if you do the research, there's a couple names that probably weren't captains, and there was a couple names that were captains that aren't listed as captains. Just a very interesting history with Blues captainship. So Thomas Nosek scores at 6:25 of the first period. This was kind of a theme of the game for me. Again, Jason Miller's comment earlier rings true. You know what? I'm going to give him comment of the show for that. Let's go ahead and say that. Jason Miller, congratulations. Comment of the show about the team defense being poor. Thomas Nosek in front, untouched when he deflects in Nick Holden's point shot. And again, Vince Dunn and I'm sure Kurt Price is screaming into his whatever he's listening to the show on right now. Maybe not. He probably agrees, actually. Vince Dunn just standing next to him, not doing anything to tie up his stick, to body him up, nothing. And that has been, and again, I'm not just wanting to point out Vince Dunn. That has been a Blues problem. It happened again later in the game on Carrier's goal. Just untouched. You can't let guys stand in front of your goalie untouched. They have to at least have a stick in their vicinity to at least throw them off if the puck comes their way. Nothing. I mean, these guys are just having free reign in front of the net. And Thomas Nosek, I'm sure he walked away from that goal after making that deflection saying, well, that's the easiest fucking goal I'm ever going to score. That was just like in practice. So,
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say the Carrier goal, Petro set him up beautifully, but coverage was awful. I want to say it was Shen and Scandella. And they just, Shen was a little late getting down to shut down the lane, but Scandella just opened himself up and the puck went straight through him. I'm pretty sure it was Scandella. It could have been somebody else.
Scandella went.
They just let him right through.
Yeah, Scandella went down, I think, to either block a shot or block a pass, and he did. But then when he got back up, I think he was a little off on his positioning. But I'll add that Jordan Kyrou was behind the play, and he probably should have picked up on that and at least tried to get back and tie up a stick. But again, Braden Shen, what are you doing? This is, again, a guy wide open in front of the net off a broken play. You just can't let that happen. Any guy in the NHL is going to bury that when that happens.
Yeah.
So, again, we talked about the Blues going down 4-1 with 32 goals by the Golden Knights in 32 seconds in the second period, which was very annoying. The goal that got Husso pulled, Jonathan Marchessault banks it off Husso's shoulder from behind the net for a 5-1 lead. That might have been one of the worst goals the Blues have given up this season, in my opinion. Okay, let me rephrase. One of the worst goals the Blues goalies have given up this season. I mean, that is a great play by Jonathan Marchessault to realize, okay, there's a little bit of a hole there. I could either try and pick the corner or even put it off the goalie and put it in. I mean, that is a goal scorer knowing how to get the puck to the net. But I mean, my God, Husso, right? I mean, Bill, I'm sure you've had crazy goals like that go off you, but that's one he's got to have.
Yeah. Again, I talked about it before in the Colorado series, in Bennington especially, but being slavish to technique, I think, is what led to this goal. Because again, Husso is trying to hug the post, trying to do the reverse VH, but he's not a 6'6" goalie. he's not going to eat up that top portion of the net. And by forcing himself into the position he was trying to get into, he exposed that and exposed the side of his head as the target to be banked. And Marchessault was a sniper, and he picked it. And I was glad to see him get the hook after that. So he definitely, his confidence was gone, and he just, he didn't have it, and Vegas had the best of him, and he definitely didn't deserve to play on after that.
So again, Haig makes it 6-1 for the and Bennington comes in, gives up this goal after being screened by Ryan Reeves in front. Originally, Reeves was credited with a goal, but it was later given to Haig. 6-1, that's your final. Note from friend of the show, Jeremy Rutherford, right when he announces the final of the score on Twitter. Blues losing streak now at 7 games. They have scored a total of 8 goals in the losing streak, so 8 goals in 7 games. They have 16 goals in their last 11 games, and 5 came in 1 game, March 20th versus San Jose. So they have 11 goals in 10 of their last 11. Goals. Listen, we've bitched about the defense here with this last game that we just mentioned, but you've got to score some fucking goals. I mean, we were drooling at the top 6 for this team without Tarasenko to open the season. Now you've got a healthy Tarasenko who, yes, maybe isn't the same guy as he was before, but probably at least a 15 to 20 goal scorer in the NHL. And you can't score a damn goal. I mean, these guys are not scoring big goals. We mentioned a couple weeks ago on this show, yes, you had injuries, but where was O'Reilly? Where was Perron? Where was Shen? Where were these guys? Now we've got these injuries back. So where's Schwartz? Where's Tarasenko? Where's Hoffman? It's just they're not getting the goals they need right now.
Right. And Schwartz is, descended into one of his, his stints of can't buy a goal, with all of Scrooge McDuck's gold, just cannot do it. When he gets on a heater, it's a great sign for the Blues. And when he's not scoring, it portends very bad things. And that's exactly what we're not seeing from Schwartz right now. And that Hoffman, you touched on it before. He looked great coming off his 1 game benching, but then he also, since he's been back, he's been Mike Hoffman and failed to get the puck out of the zone at crucial times. I mean, and he feeds I'll say, I think the thing that pisses me off most about that is having to listen to Darren Pang bitch about it every fucking time.
Yeah.
Just you've let Darren Pang down yet again, and you must have done something bad because you're a veteran and not a rookie. So shame on you, Mike Hoffman. Maybe that's what the Blues need to do. They need to watch Panger's breakdown and see the disgust he has when that stuff happens.
Yeah, right. So, Bill, I've got a bunch of comments here about Craig Berube's post-game comments after this game. But the only question I want to ask from you, do you even care? Do you even give a shit what is said after these games? I mean, it's part of it's lip service to me. Part of it is just going through the motions of having to talk to the media. And part of it's just, okay, we hear what you're saying, but it's not translating to anything the next game. Do you even pay attention to the post game shit anymore at this point?
No. At this point,
either.
I'm so frustrated. I'm just so frustrated. I turn the game off as soon as I can. Last night, since we jumped over to the Discord server. I wasn't gonna have audio on at least. I was a little bit intrigued about because it's got that feel. This team's hitting a low like when Mike Yeo got fired. I don't think Berube's going to lose his job this year. But we're certainly hitting some depths here, and every once in a while, you might get a gem out of a post game presser. But I think honestly, everything about this team right now, from the coaches on down, says going through the motions.
Yeah,
we have to be here. We have to do this. And that's it.
Yeah, I will say that, again, the best part of Saturday night for me was visiting our favorite St. Louis-themed hockey bar and only hockey-themed brewery, Center Ice Brewery in Midtown near Pappy's.
Center Ice Brewery is St. Louis's only hockey-themed brewhouse. Stop on in during the next game to experience the ultimate hockey fan brewery while sampling various hockey-inspired beers, such as Old Arena Lager, the Beauty IPA, the Rotating Pale Ale Series, or seasonal offerings such as their Imperial Stout, their Lime Sherbet Sour, and much more. While you're there enjoying any number of their fantastic beverages, you can admire the bar top and tables made of authentic arena wood and the actual penalty box door from the old barn. Located at 3126 Olive Street in Midtown St. Louis, it's one of the best places to watch a Blues game, or any game. Visit CenterIceBrewery.com today to schedule a no-contact curbside pickup or make a reservation in the tap room. Center Ice Brewery. Let's go Blues. Please drink responsibly.
Bill is Bill is back. So wait, let me go ahead and make the change here. Sorry, Bill. I thought you were away taking care of your dogs. Here we go. Bill is back. There he is. Say hi, Bill.
I went to get my other beer. Hello.
That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah. The dogs thing's gonna take half an hour, so I'm not gonna leave you high and dry the rest of the show.
Well, good. Thank you. I don't really want to have a conversation with myself. I do that enough.
Yeah. When it comes to running downstairs to get a beer, I'm fast like a marsupial.
I was gonna say, I mean, that's if you had to run downstairs to get a beer and you're already back in your seat, that's impressive. Good work. So last night there was a tweet from Greg Wyshynski, formerly of Yahoo Puck Daddy, now with the ESPN, that I wanted to bring up because I found it interesting. He tweeted last night, and obviously this is during the Blues 6-1 loss. He says, "You know who the Blues could have used this season? Some Jake Allen type, you know?" Is he right? Is my question. Bill, go ahead and I'll let you answer first. I mean, what do you think of his thoughts on the Blues needing a Jake Allen type?
Well, Wyshynski is he's somebody I followed for a long time, and know at this point that he is, if nothing else, very great at picking his spots and being a shit disturber. But I think he's dead on, and it's painful. It's painfully obvious in a game that Husso gives one up off his ear. That the Blues need different options in net, and that we're seeing the pains of maybe the reins being handed over to Bennington as number one, the clear number one, with no viable, I don't want to say viable, no proven backup. I think that's why it's it rings so true. As much as when I read it pissed me off. I think it's true.
Yeah, you mentioned last week you think that if the Blues are still buyers at the deadline, which I think is questionable at this point, do they go out and get a backup goalie? So I
right.
I could see why you agree with that.
Yeah, quite honestly, 2 weeks ago with where the standings were and the wheels weren't off this team yet, I thought that one intriguing idea, even though it probably wouldn't happen because they're in the division, is bringing in Jonathan Quick, to push Bennington some more. Quick is still in all. Cal Peterson is becoming a more of the the long-term option there, but Quick is still a starting goalie, high caliber starting goalie in the NHL. I think that kind of move would have been intriguing. As far as the rest of the goalie market that's available, I don't think we talked about this, in the Discord last night, and I think we talked a little bit about it at Center Ice. James Reimer is like the one guy that's his name's out there for as available, because of how well Peter Mrazek's doing. I'm just waiting for Peter Mrazek's annual injury right before the trade deadline, because that seems to always happen. But at this point, I think the Blues should just be sellers. Get what you can. For Hoffman, you're not going to be looking to bring in a goalie.
Yeah, I at this point, and we're going to get into, and there's a lot of chatter here in YouTube about UFAs coming up and what the Blues do at the trade deadline. That is our next point we're going to talk about here. But I want to add with the Allen talk, I'm actually going to, I don't want to say fully disagree, but I'm going to disagree to a certain extent. Yes, Jake Allen, I think, would have helped this season. Ville Husso, again, I think he's played fine as a backup. But yes, having another guy to push Binnington to play better would probably be something that would have really helped throughout the season. But at the end of the day, I'm going to sit by the fact that I'm not putting this on goaltending. And I think if you have Jake Allen, you start looking at Jordan Binnington playing better to where maybe he's stealing a couple games. And then when he's not, maybe Jake is. But I think if you're talking about who the Blues miss right now, and we're going to get into it here in a couple minutes, you're looking at the other departures from that Stanley Cup team. And again, a lot of chatter here in YouTube about a lot of the guys from that team that are gone, that were kind of your, I don't even want to say core, but kind of your big defensive players that are now gone, and guys that were part of your identity. So yes, I think Jake Allen would help this team, especially in last night's game. But I think overall, the overarching issue isn't goaltending. It's the defensive play, which has been mediocre at best, and the inability to score big goals, which this team did a lot the year they won the Cup. So again, the NHL trade deadline is approaching Monday, April 12th at 2:00 p.m. Central Time. Just out today, Money Puck is they've listed the Blues' chances of making the playoffs at 6.5%. Bill, I do not have the standings up. I don't know if you do. But as of this morning, they were sitting in fifth place, or I'm sorry, I think sixth place.
Sixth
in the division.
Sixth place. San Jose is above us with a game in hand and 3 less goals against.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. You're looking at your point percentage. Blues are, they're at 500. They're 16, 16, and 6. Which is not good enough to get you in the playoffs in any season. You have to be around 550 to 600 at least to get into the playoffs in most divisions. And yeah, they're in 6th. And I'll tell you, with the upcoming schedule, they have 38 points in 38 games. Los Angeles, 34 and 37 games. I think Los Angeles could catch them. They might finish 7th in this division.
Yeah. Yep. If something doesn't get figured out real quick, and the schedule is a bitch for the Blues. We have Vegas tomorrow night, 3 straight against Minnesota, 4 straight against Colorado. There are 17 games left. 17 games left. So there are points on the board. But when you look at that I don't want to use the term strength of schedule, because it's not a strength for the Blues. But you look at what they've got immediately in front of them, a team without confidence, this is going to be a bad couple of weeks.
Yeah, I agree.
And unless Army can pull a rabbit out of a hat and make a trade that somehow gets this team to click, there's enough talent on this team to be successful. There just isn't the chemistry. I don't know how you fix that with a trade, but maybe you do.
Yeah, Taylor Hall talk has really been the only thing that I've seen. We talked about that a little bit last week. We don't need to get too much into this, but I think at this point, unless you are just literally moving Mike Hoffman and a low draft pick, yeah, why not? But I'm not moving even a third or fourth round pick at this point to try and make the playoffs this year. Why try to salvage something when in the playoffs you're going to have to go through Colorado and Vegas, who have given you fits this year? Not to mention Arizona has just been your just absolute Achilles heel this year. I mean, it's at this point, I think they're sellers. If anything, I mean, maybe they don't do anything, but I think at this point, you've got to be looking to sell rather than buy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I think you trade Hoffman at this point. You're not going to get, you might get a second round pick, but the season he's had, it's not been great. The contract's good, and he's still on the right side of the age equation, but he certainly hasn't shown consistently enough to warrant much more than probably a third round pick at this trade deadline, at least. I mean, who knows? Maybe the market heats up. Most people most of the pundits that I've read don't expect a very hot market because of COVID and not a lot of teams interested in transacting. But I don't know. Definitely have to sell. I think I'll throw this out there since Kurt can't be here tonight to say it, but try to move Sanford if you can. He's still young enough. Somebody's willing to take a flyer on him. Maybe you can find a hockey trade. I don't think the numbers are right, but DeBrusk is out of favor in Boston. Maybe Sanford going back to New England would be good. I just don't think he would fit in well there either, because their identity is also, be big, play big, and he's be big, play small. I don't know. It certainly feels like we're going to be talking more about departures than who's coming in.
Divide by Zero in the chat. A lot of comments here from him about this whole trade deadline coming up. He says, I'm guessing we are contending for a lottery pick at this point. Unfortunately, Divide by Zero, I think the Blues are in that shitty position where it's, well, they could go on a heater and make the playoffs, or they could lose out. And even with losing out, I don't know if they really contend for a lottery pick. They're one of those meddling teams.
Buffalo.
Yeah.
Right. Buffalo's the lock. And with all the rules changing around the lottery, you're not going to get the luck that the Blackhawks had and get moved up to third for Kirby Dach. It's just not going to happen.
Well, not just Buffalo. I mean, New Jersey has had a rough year. Ottawa, right. Detroit, Anaheim. I mean, I just don't think Blues compete with those guys when it comes to a lottery pick. And then he also adds, we have Vegas and Colorado coming up, multiple games. Our schedule is tough. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't win 2 more games this year. That was a kind of a joke I made tongue in cheek last week, that maybe Berube loses his job if the Blues don't win a game the rest of the season. I'm starting to think that might be a very real possibility.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think.
He's starting to take on that demeanor of dead man walking. And it's an out of context picture. But I think it was Tom Timmerman who posted a picture today at practice. That there was, all the beat writers were tweeting about how they didn't run lines; they just went into battle drills in practice. And the picture that I think it was Timmerman posted was Berube sitting back behind everybody, watching what was going on. And I don't know, it felt like what he was trying to portray was, either, guy who's just doesn't know, doesn't have the answers, or, is trying the only way that he knows how, and that's to make them fight it out. And I just don't think the team has enough intestinal fortitude to be a Berube style team at this point. I think you don't make the change now with him, this season, but you have to look at what's available and what kind of players can you bring in to make his team successful. I mean, it's difficult. We're not going to be able to replicate. We lost, two important key players, to long-term injury in Jabo and Steen, and then of course Petro leaving because they couldn't get the deal worked out. You're not going to replace those guys in a season, and yeah.
So let's go over that, Bill. So talking about the team's identity, that was something you brought up on Twitter last night that I thought was interesting. Who is this team? Departures since the Stanley Cup: Jake Allen, Jay Bouwmeester, Joel Edmondson, Robbie Fabry, Pat Maroon, Alex Pietrangelo, and Alexander Steen. And let's go ahead and basically add Carl Gunnarsson to that list as well, who's been lost to the season, or lost this season to injury. Arrivals since the Stanley Cup has been Kyle Clifford, Jacob Delarose, Justin Falk, Mike Hoffman, Ville Husso, Torrey Krug, Jordan Kyrou, Nico Mikola, and Marco Scandella. Obviously, some of those guys were around the team with the cup, but some of these guys have become like a Jordan Kyrou, have become a fixture in the lineup since the Stanley Cup. So that's a long list. We've talked about some of these guys tonight already. The thing that I think back to when the Blues won the cup was Pat Maroon after the game saying something about whatever he said. Was it fast hockey? Who cares about fast hockey? Big hockey's back. Whatever he said in the post game to somebody on the ice. I don't feel this team has continued that identity, and I think under Craig Berube, that's the identity that he wants with his team, which is great. Obviously, it worked for the Blues in a season. We talked about last year even how in a 7-game series, nobody beats this team. Well, and I know that this was a regular season series, but they played the Coyotes in 7 games, basically lost that series. Now we're looking at them playing Colorado back-to-back, Vegas back-to-back, and they're just getting pummeled. And they're not that team anymore. So who is this team? Does the coaching need to change? Is it a personnel issue? Do you retool on the fly? Do you completely rebuild? That's the question surrounding this team right now.
Yeah, I mean, I said it in the chat. I don't think this is an organization that needs to completely tear it down and build it back up. You've got good pieces, and Army's shown that he can fix things, making decent moves. The last years have been a bit of an aberration. with COVID and just not players realizing that right now is not the time to go after all the money. So things last season you can't say was a normal off season, but it's not. You don't have the feeling with this team that they have the speed to compete. They've got a couple of guys who are fast. Kairu's fast, right? But they're not going to keep up with the Colorado Avalanche. But they also don't have the physicality to beat teams into submission like they did in 2019. I mean, that's just the fact of the matter. You can't wear teams down. And the 2019 we didn't have a problem with getting beaten down the boards all the time. And now all you have to do is speed to the outside and you're in our zone. There are personnel things that need to happen. But I don't know. It could be that a coaching change is needed. Maybe this philosophy doesn't work with the players that the organization has at this time, and you got to bring somebody in who can figure out how to get the most out of these guys. We talked about it last week a lot. Is Berube using players the right way? Right? Putting Hoffman on the third line, he's not going to thrive. Is that just him saying, hey, I'm a Stanley Cup champion coach. I think I know a thing or two. And you're going to play how I want you to play. Players, especially a Mike Hoffman type who's here on a 1-year deal, he's not going to change his game and risk, injury if he's not comfortable playing a physical game.
I agree. And that's kind of my issue. Is I look at the makeup of that team in 2019, and it just had so many different elements. It was a team that could be quick, come out and score a quick strike goal. It was a team that's going to pound you into submission and create a bunch of board battles in the offensive zone to wear down the other team's defenses. We're not seeing that, and it actually reminds me more of the 2018-2019 team. If you remember, that team was quote unquote built on speed. And, that was the team that didn't make the playoffs. They had a hot start, but then just faltered, could not continue keeping up any kind of speed with the rest of the NHL. And that's what I see in this team, that yes, they've got some guys who can grind it out like a Sammy Blais or a Kyle Clifford, but not enough to make a difference like that team in 2019 did. And then you've got guys that can jump up with speed, like a Braden Shen, a Jordan Kyrou, a Jaden Schwartz. But again, not enough. Your whole team isn't built on that. There needs to be, right. And I'm with you. I don't think a complete rebuild is necessary. I mean, you've just locked up Braden Shen. You just locked up Jordan Binnington. This team still has pieces that can win a Stanley Cup. Ryan O'Reilly's still around for a little while. I think a little bit of a retooling is exactly what this team needs. If you can find a way, as much as it would pain me to see, if you could find a way to move a Tarasenko, you do it. You get anything you can that can still compete in the NHL. Jaden Schwartz is a guy that I've probably harped on more than I should, but if you can move Schwartz at the deadline since he's a free agent, you got to do it. And other names that come up, Mike Hoffman, obviously. And then I think the defense needs a complete shakeup. I mean, I'd be fine as great as Justin Falks played. I'd be fine with them making a move if it improves the team, as Kurt always says. If the team is better now in the future, trade anyone. I don't care who it is. And Justin Falk is a guy who's played great, but he's undersized. He's not going to battle guys in front of the net. And I know the NHL is much different than the NHL you and I grew up with, but it's just I think there's too many undersized guys playing defense. I'd like to see a retool there. I think because again, Jay Bomeister was a guy who was not known for physical play, but he had a long reach. And when he got on his game towards the end of his time here, he was great in defensive coverage because he was so big. And
right,
you don't have that right
space.
now.
Right, he was a consummate shutdown defenseman, and that was kind of the exciting thing at the end of last year before the shutdown, that Armstrong was able to pluck Scandella, and it was like he and Parayko had instant chemistry, and that after the lockdown and them moving into the bubble, that just didn't come back. And I like Scandella for what he brought early on, but I think he's a guy if you can move on from, you do. I think you need to bring in some more core pieces. I think you're basically at this point, you're married to Torrey Krug with the contract we gave him. We're probably married to Justin Falk. I don't know. Maybe you can convince Seattle to take him in the draft, but we don't have a lot to give to entice them to take him. In terms of those sweetener deals that would need to happen.
Well, and I'm going to interject real quick, Bill. I also think that because of the success of Vegas with getting those kinds of deals from teams, I don't know if you're going to see those types of deals as much with Seattle. I think teams got wise to, oh shit, we had the sweetener deal, like Shea Theodore was a sweetener deal, and he's turned out to be fucking phenomenal for Vegas. So I don't think you're going to see as many of those types of deals going down this offseason.
Yeah, you'll see a few, but probably not. I think you're right. Probably not to the same, same level as happened with Vegas. But yeah, I mean, losing those, a pairing that for several years was your top pairing in an off season. As great as the start of Justin Falk had, and he was key to the Blues' early season success this year. We've got to give him his due for it. He hasn't been able to replicate it. And, whether it's other teams becoming wise to, all you need to do is, shut him down and not let him pinch when he's going to do it. He hasn't been as effective. Whatever's happening with him is not he's been good, but he hasn't been a difference maker like we've had in the blue line here in the past. So I think the blue line is a big area that you need to shake up. I think that there probably is a need to explore goaltending depth, and I think you got to do that through trade. The free agency market's not going to be great. I don't know, but the defense, is just it is definitely a point of concern. But I've said a lot here, but the one thing I don't want to happen is for Army to say, well, this year's another aberration. The last 2 years are aberration because of the bubble. Yeah, we had to make some transactions because of contracts expiring with Petro. And people having to retire with Steen and Jabo. Maybe didn't have the opportunity to make the best decision possible. I thought Krug was a very reasonable replacement between Krug and Falk. Reasonable replacement for Pietrangelo. It just hasn't worked out so far. But I don't want him to say, well, I don't want to blow things up until I know whether or not Parayko's still going to be good.
Right.
We have to wait and see another year. But I kind of feel like that's what we're going to look at.
Yeah. So trade deadline is Monday. This will probably be our last show before then, unless we decide to do something crazy, maybe like a trade deadline special. We'll see. Stay tuned.
It's probably going to happen on Discord, if anything.
Yeah, probably a Discord chat would be fun. But anyway, Bill, I'll go first, give you a little time to think it out. I'm going to do a little prediction for the trade deadline. I think, again, trade deadline of recent years has not been what we've expected. And I think it's going to be more of that this year. I think people who are wanting the Blues to just every UFA, get rid of them, every potential trade you have, do it. I don't think we're going to see a lot of movement this year just because of the way things are with COVID and especially Canadian teams and U.S. teams. I don't think we're going to see a lot of moves between those two, so that takes out 7 teams for the Blues to possibly trade with. I'm going to say I could see a Hoffman moved, maybe a Schwartz. I don't see Bozak moved. Dunn being an RFA, I don't see him moved. Like I said, I think the only thing you'll really see is maybe a Mike Hoffman trade. But other than that, that's all I see. So, Bill, what about you? Any predictions for the trade deadline?
I think Hoffman and Bozak are the 2 likely guys going. I'd rather not see Bozak go, but I think that teams looking for center depth would have would be well served to bring him on board. But Hoffman, I think at this point, it hasn't worked out. He's not going to sign here long term. Get what you can for him. I don't think it's going to be that much. And you need to bring in picks or prospects. Maybe you can pry a prospect who's grown out of favor in another organization. But I think with where the Blues are right now, the whole idea of Canada being off limits to trade partners I think it's a little more far-fetched because you don't have to have somebody, if you're not expecting to make the playoffs, you don't care if somebody's going to miss 7 days because of quarantine. The Canadian government cut it from 14 to 7, I think. And, to talk about my other favorite team for a second, how about Eric Stahl?
Yeah. Stepping in.
Game-winning overtime goal in his debut for the Habs. It's such a clutch thing, and the Habs were on his no-trade list, but he waived it to get the hell out of Buffalo.
Yeah,
I love it.
At this point, I think I would have been like you can trade me to Timbuktu. I don't give a shit. Get me out of Buffalo.
Trade me to the Charlestown Chiefs. Trade me right fucking now.
A couple comments in the YouTube chat. Divide by Zero says, good chance Dunn is gone, in my humble opinion. Divide by Zero also adds, Kraken will take, he's talking about Dunn. Kraken will take Dunn if we don't protect him. Again, only thing I see with that is he's an RFA, and they would need assurance that they could sign him. So there's potential there they wouldn't take him. Derek in the YouTube chat also adds, I think Hoffman and Dunn will both go. So we'll see. I mean, if you can turn a Hoffman and Dunn around and get a decent pick or prospect or even current NHL player, I think the Blues are all over it. I think those 2 guys have fallen out of favor with coaching staff. So I think that if there is potential that happens, I think that the Blues will jump all over that. So, Bill, real quick, let's do some rapid-fire hockey tidbits. You mentioned Eric Stahl plays in his first game in Montreal, being traded from Buffalo, scores the OT winner, so good for them. Vancouver up in Canada in the North Division, provided by, we said it last week,
Scotia,
that's right. Vancouver, ambushed by COVID-19. 17 players. Van-COVID. Yes. Bill, did you take that from anyone?
No.
That's genius.
It's simple.
That is genius. Van-COVID. That's their name right now. 17 players and 3 coaches affected by the outbreak. March 31st was their first postponed game. They are now targeting Thursday, April 8th for their return. We'll see. As of this morning, they still had 17 players on the COVID protocol list. So I will be interested to see if Thursday is a correct time they'll resume. I think we'll see them start playing over the weekend. Avalanche.
Yeah, I don't know. That's 17 players.
Yeah.
17 players. No. I can't see them overcoming that. I think it's going to be a while.
Yeah, I could see it at least the weekend, if not next week. Because I saw the 17 players and 3 coaches, and I thought, okay, this has got to be an older article if they're planning on playing Thursday. But no, they literally added 1 player this morning. And so I'm like, There's no way they play Thursday. Well, anyway. Avalanche have a point streak going, as we mentioned a little bit earlier. Points in 15 straight after beating the Wild Monday night. They are now 13-0-2. And as I mentioned, the Blues still have a fair amount of games going against the Avalanche. So any hopes of catching the Avalanche or Golden Knights, even without the Blues' awful schedule heading up, I think are diminished. I don't think you'll see anybody catching the Avalanche at this point. They are rolling.
Yeah, I'd say that they are, that they're definitely in our neck of the woods standings wise, there's no prayer. 0. Unless, the entire team came down with COVID and had to forfeit a bunch of games.
Yeah. So we've got a couple comments I want to get to as we're closing up the show here, folks. We've got Derek adding in the YouTube chat. I almost think we don't care who we protect anymore. It's not like most of them are playing up to their contracts, minus the entry level ones. Austin Lynch says, I was so happy when we signed Hoffman, but he's just not what the Blues expected. I don't want to get a lot into this, but again, that is one thing that I do actually fault Craig Berube on. I think even with the injuries, I don't think Hoffman was given a fair shake as a top 3 to top 6 forward. I would have liked to seen him, and I think I mentioned it last week, if they could have given him 7, 8, 9 games, because I think originally I would have said maybe 15 games in a normal season. But you give him 7 or 8 games on the top line with Ryan O'Reilly and David Perron, I think maybe you see some production there. But he was just never given that chance. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just the way I see it. Divide by 0 adds to Austin Lynch's comment. Kind of reminds me of Ryan Miller. So talking about expectations, I guess. And the Avs are looking like 2019 Lightning right now. The regular season Lightning had that year was ridiculous. So it's a good comparison. Probably they're flying.
So will Arizona or San Jose be the Columbus in that scenario?
Ooh, that would be interesting. Man, could you imagine San Jose stepping in and beating the Avalanche in the first round?
That would be epic. And I do want to bring something that I tested out in the Discord last night. Even though there were only 2 other people in there for the trade deadline. 2 trades that I want to see happen, because at this point I'm done with everything and I want to see the world burn. I want to see the Blues move Mike Hoffman to San Jose, just for the reunion.
I was thinking that. I was thinking that earlier. How awesome would that be?
that would be epic. And now I'm drawing a blank. I'm gonna have to think about this. Vamp for a second. What was the other trade that I wanted to see?
Well, I think I mentioned it last week. Klim Kostin for Cal Foote was a trade I made in NHL 21. So I'm all for the Blues doing that. That's a good defensive defenseman right there.
That
Did I not vamp enough?
And that no, you didn't. I think at this point it's just my mind has purged. It's 24 hours later, and it's
Remember
I'm
it for
very
next
tired
week.
and- yeah, I'll bring it back. Teaser for next week's show.
Teaser. There you go.
I'll
right
have
there.
it. And hopefully I'll be celebrating that it actually happened.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good to me. Well, as I said, we're going to wrap up the show here, folks. Again, I want to mention that I will be on, I don't know about Bill, but I will be on Discord after the show. I'm going to use the bathroom first, but I will be on Discord after the show. That's, what is it? letsgoblues.com/Discord. If you're interested in joining, we're just going to go on there and chat for a little bit. Bill, you done for the night? I think you'll be joining us.
Yeah, I'm probably done for the night because,
Okay.
like I said, I've got to deal with the dogs with the no fence situation, and that's going to take some time. So it's a school night. It's a late night. I'm probably just going to take care of that and go to bed.
Sounds good. I'll be on there. So again, letsgoblues.com/Discord. Find us over there. And yeah, I will be on there tonight in just a little bit after the show ends here. But support for Let's Go Blues Radio is brought to you in part by Manscaped. The best in men's below-the-waist grooming products. Get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with code LGB. There's gold at the end of the rainbow with Manscaped. And by ID Life, the world's only truly personalized vitamin platform based on a health assessment of your DNA. Visit rockinthatidlife.com for more information. That's rockinthatidlife.com and get 10% off by texting Dustin at 636-393-8745 and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you. Again, that number, 636-393-8745. And by Center Ice Brewery, St. Louis's hockey-themed brewery. Visit centericebrewery.com today to schedule a no-contact curbside pickup or to make a reservation in their awesome tap room. While you're there and enjoying a number of their fantastic beers, you can admire the bar top and tables made of authentic Arena wood. Located at 3126 Olive Street in Midtown St. Louis. It's one of the best places to watch a Blues game. That's centericebrewery.com. Please drink responsibly. That will do it for episode 30 of season 9 of the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Thanks for listening, and thanks to those who participated in the YouTube and Facebook live chats during the show. It's been a blast as always, everyone, and I hope we have some positive news to talk about to close out the season here. We'll see. For Billy Blue Note and C Price 12, I'm Jay Potter 94. Until next time, everyone, let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues. And let's hope I get my voice back for next week.
We'll see. It's not that big of a deal if you don't.
The Chiefs are at home tonight against Cyanosport at the War Memorial at 8. Good seats are still available. I think that went very well.
Thank you for listening to Let's Go Blues Radio. Now take off, hosers.
I want you to have a heart attack and die so that we never have to do this shit again.
Well, there's 90 minutes of your life you'll never get back. Sorry.
St. Louis Blues, St. Louis Blues. Have you heard the news about our St. Louis Blues? They've only just begun, they're on their way to number 1. Now there's no more blues for our St. Louis Blues. The Blues are on the ice tonight again. They're rough and tough and got the stuff to win. They'll always get one more, no matter what the score. They are quite a hockey team, my friend. They never give a single goal away. And the prove they